Good noon, everyone. Let us start with Nifty BankNifty analysis. Now, what we see in Nifty, yesterday there was a good flow on the upside after a good down move. After having an up move yesterday, giving a bounce back, it's kind of sluggish or going sideways. Now, the bigger structure seems to be intact because the down move came in, tried to push it on the upside, came back down, kind of making a W formation over here. And more importantly, this zone, 18,000, is the key criteria to basically focus on. And right now also, we can see that Nifty opening up, selling has come through, but we can clearly say that 18,000 is still maintained. So there is no need to worry that will the Nifty have an upside or not. So more or less, it is kind of gearing itself for an upside mode till it is kind of supporting the 18,000 mark. So we do not have to worry till it is on the above range of 18,000. So that's the first important zone, because first it was acting like resistance, and we can also see the green dotted lines have come around this 18,000 zone. So I would say, okay, fine. This is basically very, very important support zone at 18,000. So that is one intake that we have taken from the technical standpoint. And now coming across for the higher zone. So from the higher zone, we are very clear on the upper end where huge selling has come, which has come around that 18,300 zone, which still remains intact. So upside target can come through. If it breaches, it remains above 18,000, going beyond 18,100 or so, it can go on the higher side. So downside is only relevant, or it can prevail if it breaches the 18,000 mark, then only the downside can come through. And we also know where is the important support range, which is around 17,800. Yesterday we were looking at important option data for 17,900 too, but 17,800 is a good zone of support for Nifty. So let's try to see for intraday perspective, what do we see the trend of Nifty, whether it will be sluggish sideways or can it move again on the upside or not. So looking for the smaller time frame, first thing which is very, very important, that today after having an up move, it did undergo some bit of selling. So we can clearly see which are certain important pointers over here. Sharp reversal activity happening at this point, right in the morning itself, came back down, which was somewhere around 18,100, and it dropped all the way on the downside, tried to breach again, kind of reversal happening, trying to push itself on the higher side. And we can clearly see again there is a bit of selling pressure around this zone, and again selling coming in, kind of double bottom getting made over here. So on intraday basis, because of two selling pressure 1 and 2, it doesn't seem to be that it will fly on the upside very, very fast. So it might also struggle today for Nifty to go on the higher side, because once it goes on the higher, again selling will come in. Again, if it breaches higher, it can reach to maximum is today's high. So a lot of selling pressure is there on Nifty for today. Main part over here is to also focus on the downside. And if it doesn't breach 18,000 on the downside, because here we can see multiple times he has tested this zone today also, yesterday also, from where the rally has taken place. And once it breaches, I would be basically looking for a sell trade on the downside, because downside is open for at least 100 points on the down move, which if it happens to come by. So that will be the lookout. If it goes sluggish on the sideways, I would not look out for a buy trade, because a lot of selling pressure will come, which is very much visible, and going out taking a buy trade might become risky, and it can just go make a spike and again come back down. So that's very, very relevant to happen today. So no going for buy trade on Nifty as of now. And one thing which is very, very important, if you actually see from the two selling areas which we have marked, A and B, one more good point which is happening over here is kind of a trend line formation is also taking place. So no doubt that he is trying to revive from the bottom, trying to go up or pushing itself on the higher side. But main idea is a lot of selling pressure has happened. He had come over here also, selling took place, again back, again selling has taken place. So there is a kind of trend line breakout happening on the upside for an upside move. So there is some bullish stance which are there, but I will not be bullish today on Nifty because of the selling pressure first at this point, and even here that is around 18,060 zone. And even if it goes higher, sharp selling will again come through on the downside. More than that, I am more kind of looking out or watching out for this zone to be broken on the downside, and I would like to take a sell trade rather than on a buy trade. The risk reward is not good on buy trade, but below 18,000 zone or 18,050 zone. This is very, very important for downside. Now let's see what option data also suggests whether the downside is open or not, and whether a lot of selling pressure is there at the top or not. So we'll get some extra clue from the option data as well. So let me just pull out the option data. So updated till date, till now, right from morning, what does the option data has to say? We are going for out of the money call and put and 11th November expiry. So one thing is very certain, that if you see, as I was saying, below 18,000 mark, if you actually see below 18,000 mark, there is no support. Okay, so expiry can be very tricky. You need to be very, very vigilant now, because if it goes below 18,000, I'm very clear that 100, 150 points downside can come through. So that the way which we were trying to address technically, I think option data is also suggesting the same. Now, thinking from the upside, we know that 30,000 people are standing somewhere here, but 18,100, this is where the morning reversal point happened. 56,000 people are standing. And even if it tries to breach, 41,000 people are standing. So if I try to see in the last 2 hours or last 1 hour, we can clearly see 100 and 18,050, almost 30,000 people are standing. And same around in last 1 hour, also almost like 20,000 people are standing. So whatever the data points we were suggesting from technical standpoint, I feel the same from option standpoint too. So 18,100 is a very important resistance zone as per the option data as well. And this is where we need to be now very, very careful. Okay, even if you are looking for a buy trade, I will suggest that this is where good selling can happen. And that is what is very, very important for us to also realize, that not rush in and buy, because it can basically give a sharp selling on the downside, and we will basically trigger our stop loss. So not that much positive on Nifty, and it can go up. I'm not denying that, but the risk reward is not in our favor. On the counter side, as I said, if it breaches this 18,000 zone and the trend line which we have made multiple times, support has been made somewhere around 18,000 to 18,050 zone. If it goes down, there is no option data suggesting that there is a good support at the downside. So I would basically look out and will be very, very careful if you are basically trying to look out for a trade. But idea is, if it breaches on the downside, it can go down very, very fast. So that's very, very important to basically look out for a good trade possibility on the downside, because the upside might get capped, limited, and plus risk reward is not favorable. So that's the take on Nifty. And if not today, obviously we can keep this structure intact for tomorrow as well. So not necessarily it should play out for today itself, but if tomorrow also, or maybe towards the expiry, if it's is sluggish and going sideways within this range, then downside is open. So we'll again check tomorrow option data is trying to reveal the same information or not. Now let's go and check Bank Nifty, because if Bank Nifty is supporting, then Nifty obviously will not collide below 18,000 zone. So let's see how Bank Nifty is doing. Yesterday, we were very clear Bank Nifty was not moving on the upside, was sluggish, but in the end, we can clearly see there was a good move which took place in Bank Nifty as well. Now, main important about Bank Nifty, we had plotted two zones yesterday from option data. 39,300, if it breach, it will go maximum to 39,500. That is what exactly happened. And now today in the morning also, a lot of selling has happened from 39,500, 600 zone. Red dotted line comes back down to that same zone where obviously resistance were there, which will act like support, and trying to push the Nifty, Bank Nifty on the higher side. So one thing is critical over here also. We know that higher selling pressure is there for Bank Nifty, which we have already marked around 39,600, 700. And we also know there is again selling pressure over here, which is somewhere around 39,500 or so. So primarily, if you basically see the selling junctures, they are getting in line. Okay, so selling pressure is there again over here, which is kind of a small selling pressure right over here also. He tried to come back to the top, again selling pressure comes in. But the good part over here is a lot of buying strength is there on the downside. So if I actually have to watch out for, we can clearly see it is sideways, it is sluggish, a lot of selling is happening from the top, but good buying happening from here. Even over here, we can clearly see a lot of buying support coming in, and he's trying to push the Bank Nifty on the higher side. So that is one more good point which is there, that the Bank Nifty has been pushed on the higher side, and we can see that it's kind of sluggish sideways triangle breakouts can take place on the upside and on the downside. Now, in order to break Nifty on the downside, we need to understand that for downside move, Bank Nifty has to go out below 39,300. if it falls below 39,300, there is another good amount of support for Bank Nifty. So Bank Nifty will not give us a good push on the downside. So if we are targeting Nifty for downside move, we have to be very clear that for downside move, Bank Nifty also has to crash, and the downside for Bank Nifty is limited. Okay. So vis-a-vis, if you ask me, going buy on Bank Nifty is much better than on Bank Nifty and then on Nifty. And Nifty selling below 18,000 is only possible if it basically breaks. The Bank Nifty goes down at least towards 39,300 and below. Then only the cracking of Nifty will also take place. Else Nifty will not go down below 18,000. So we have to be watchful about Bank Nifty move as well. We can clearly see selling coming by, again he's trying to go up, again selling coming by, again he's trying to go up. So kind of Bank Nifty seems to be positive for an upside move. It seems to be kind of pushing itself on the higher side rather than on the downside. But as I suggested, that if these zones are taken out, okay, the fall can also happen brutal. Okay, so fall can come like 600 points down, and there is good support, I agree. But then if you take out all the buyers, then if the downside comes through, then that will come very fast. So let's see the option data also suggesting the same or not. Today I do not see even looking for buy trade on Bank Nifty as well. The reason is very clear. It's kind of more sluggish and sideways. We need to wait out for more clear structure rather than just getting into the trade. So smaller time frame, we can clearly see moving in a small range more so. Okay, so it's kind of moving in sluggish sideways, small range. And let's see from the option data point, do we have some inputs from options also or not? Let's see from options data point. Great. So one thing is very clear, 39,500 and 600. So 500 is standing out with 47,000. So that's very important. So at least that is known. On the lower end, we can basically see 300, which is still there today also. Good amount of support at 300 and even at 400. So a lot of support is there at the bottom side for Bank Nifty, but more importantly, 39,500 and 39,600. So if it has to breach on the higher side, 39,600 is the key element over here. Unless 39,600 is not being breached, there is no upside in Bank Nifty. So I will be bullish only about 39,600. And obviously 39,500 is make and break level, because once the push happens from 39,500, it can push towards 600 and then further on the higher side. So 39,500 is very critical for Bank Nifty. If I try to see in last 2 hours, out of that 47,000, 10,000 addition has happened at 39,500. In last 1 hour, only 4,000 has happened. But if you try to see right from morning, okay, the 47,000 people have been pushed at 39,500. That means strong seller is standing right from the morning. Okay, so the most idea over here is very clear. Whatever we have understood, even on a broader scale, this 39,500 will become very critical. So we can say the 39,500, we should make it as a zone for us so that we are very in line to whatever we are thinking. This is important for us now, 39,500. So I can remove the prior zone. Bank Nifty, if you want to be bullish, I would highly recommend that try to focus on 39,500 and above. Because once it goes 39,500 and above, then only these sellers will also be killed and it will go on the higher side towards 600 and then 700 and so on. So no doubt that upside is there, but only when the band is removed. Otherwise, I don't see any upside in Bank Nifty. On the contrary, I can tell you that buyers have pushed it up. Buyers have pushed it up. Buyers is pushing up. If it cracks down, all these buyers will push the Bank Nifty also lower very fast. So again, the important point is all the buyers are there, and if it tries to breach, okay, over here, it can basically come down towards 39,100 zone on the downside is quite possible. Okay, and because of that, Nifty will also crack down. So this is very clear, buyer pushing up. If it goes above this, obviously we'll go and buy. But if it doesn't go above this, okay, do not just fall in for a buy trade now, because if it doesn't fall and it fails on the downside, okay, and it sustains below this trend line, if it goes below, tries to test this zone, 39,300, tries to bounce back and again come down, I'm very sure that fall of 300 points, 400 points can come very fast. So that should be the watch out for Bank Nifty as well. But it seems to be a little strong, Bank Nifty, compared to Nifty. But I can clearly tell you that once this zone is removed, 39,300, which is an important zone of option also, there is no important support which is there. Technically there is, but option data does not suggest. So downside is open as far as the bank nifty also goes. So Nifty and Bank Nifty kind of sideways towards downside. I'm not looking for a upside trade in either of them. And even if you take upside, the selling pressure will be very, very high. But obviously on the downside, we can get much more rather than on the buy side. And if you are looking for a downside, we are very clear on Bank Nifty and Nifty when to crack. So if Bank Nifty is cracking below 18,000, 18,000 and 30, 40, we start looking for selling opportunity in Nifty for cracking on the downside, which will become very, very clear. Okay, so sideways movement as of now, right from morning, but huge selling pressure at the top. So this expiry, if you want to look for an upside move in Nifty or in Bank Nifty, so Nifty 18,100, till then I'm not a buyer and I will start looking for selling opportunities. Same way for Bank Nifty till 39,500. If it does not sustain, I'm not a buyer. I'll still look for selling opportunity. Thank you very much for joining in. We'll connect again tomorrow.